Welcome to Talent on Tap. This is part 2 of my conversation with Rosanna, who heads up diversity, inclusion, and belonging here at LinkedIn. We had such a great conversation first time around. We want to continue the dialogue about talking about diversity and why it's a team sport. Now we're going to dive a little bit more into advice and tactics and taking some action to make impact in your companies. So ownership, pretty clear, everyone needs to play a role. Let's talk about the journey of creating that shared ownership and shared accountability, and sort of when it becomes more heartfelt by these stakeholders.
If you think about the work of diversity, it has to be owned by the business. It can't be owned just in HR or in TA or diversity, for that matter. And it's a head, heart, and hands principle. What I mean by the head,
heart, and hands.
Yeah, what I mean by the head is there's a business case. Some companies launch into diversity because they're highly altruistic. They believe in treating people fairly, and justice is important, and I wouldn't disregard that. But we're in businesses, and the business case for diversity is proven in research that's been done by McKinsey and Burson by Deloitte that tells us that companies that have more diverse leadership in senior and executive management, diversity is represented by women and underrepresented groups, are more profitable and generate more revenue, significantly more. And the hands are the actions that we take that lead to those kinds of outcomes. The actions that we take that lead employees to not only feel they belong, they feel they have access to opportunity, they feel that they're a part of the things that make the environment at work a great place to be.
Any experiences you've had where, from a heart point of view, like someone literally was transformed over, be it the course of a conversation or a course of time?
If we think about diversity, often it's been seen as checklist.
Yeah.
You know, that we're recruiting in different communities and we're hiring people. But that heart piece is also about our own personal journeys, our own personal stories in this work, and experiencing a conversation with a leader who suddenly gets that they not only have been exposed to opportunities or have privileges that their daughter might not have, or their godchild who might come from a different background might not have access to, really evokes an epiphany. And it's led to my own epiphany that you really can't shift diversity just off of training and development. It's really the personal work of giving individuals exposure to people who come from different backgrounds and communities to understand. An important exercise that I've seen has been in things like recognizing it's sometimes difficult to attract diverse talent, not because people wouldn't want the opportunity, but they simply don't even know anyone in that industry or line of business to imagine themselves working there or pursuing an opportunity there.
What's the best tactic to get someone to kind of open up a bit? Hey, I got a big meeting next week, and to try to get some motivation here. What should someone do?
Sometimes the story is in being able to see what the competitive landscape looks like. If you have competitors who are doing better at this than you are, what's the case then to be more competitive in appealing to a certain segment of the workforce, to have the kind of representation that your shareholders are going to be comfortable with or your board of directors expect of you.
So literally, here's what our competitors are doing?
Absolutely. You know, benchmarking against competitors is something that we do in areas like compensation, employee engagement. We should be benchmarking against our competition in relation to what does our workforce representation look like. It's important to be able to meet customers where they are, create products that they value. Understanding those communities is important in the formula for how we create products that our customers want and engage in, and how we build trust with the customer. And if we don't have a workforce that represents that, that then becomes a story to be able to share with leaders as well.
What language do you recommend that people use in talking about this? Be it, all right, we're gonna have checkpoints every quarter on how we're progressing.
Try to translate it into the cadence of the business.
Okay.
You know, unfortunately, diversity often brings its own jargon into the work environment.
Yeah.
And the more it feels like something separate and apart from the business, the harder it is to engage critical stakeholders. Mm-hmm. Diversity and inclusion is often treated as a lagging indicator. The more we integrate into the business, it really should operate as, in some ways, a leading indicator of the things we're doing right when we're retaining talent, a leading indicator associated with how we're engaging employees and being innovative in the kinds of programs or ways in which we're interacting with our workforce to have people feel they belong in the work environment.
Mm-hmm. Would you suggest tactfully holding the mirror up to certain stakeholders that you're trying to influence?
I absolutely do. I think there's a huge what's in it for me.
Yeah.
So if you're a leader in today's environment, just knowing how demographics of workforce are changing, demographics in customer segments are changing, to be an effective leader in this environment, leading diversity, managing diversity isn't an option. Like, this is table stakes. If you don't know how to manage a diverse workforce, you are always going to be limited by the ability to attract the best talent to the work environment.
So Rosanna, one thing that you and I have spoken about and has really had an impact on me is manager effectiveness, specifically related to these topics. Can you talk a little bit about sort of the importance of that and your vision for, like, what is the model for a great manager in the future?
Yeah, really important question. I think for years we've tried to solve diversity by getting senior leader buy-in and creating engagement of employees in the organization, often through ERGs and other kinds of programs. But the area where we've made the least progress, I think, as a corporate environment, is with people managers. Mm-hmm. And if we really think about it, the role of a manager is not only to have their talent be able to produce and demonstrate new capabilities and ultimately create talent that thrives. It also means that the role of the manager is to be able to lead people who come from different backgrounds and ways of operating. And I think that's where we've seen a lag. You know, managers often don't have the skill set to lead different teams, but they're in a position to hire people who come from different backgrounds. And without really recognizing that we have to up-level the skills of managers to feel confident and empowered to lead people who come from different backgrounds and experiences, we're always going to be in this dance of recruiting talent and losing talent prematurely, or having the talent picked off by other companies.
Rosanna, this has been fantastic. Lots to think about and lots of actions to be taken by myself and hopefully all the viewers. But as usual, I learn a tremendous amount just spending time with you here. So much appreciate the sharing, and we'll have to have you back again at some point in the future.
Thank you so much, Bibi. It's wonderful doing this with you, and in particular having you as a teammate in this work. It really is a team sport, but with a teammate like you, it makes it awesome.